All right, testing, testing.
Testing.
All right, guys, welcome to the first official episode of the new podcast we're now calling Annie Bros.
Yep.
For those who maybe didn't watch the first episode or listen to the first episode, sorry, it's the podcast with me and my brother. My name's Donnell, and we have Darian. Darian,
Yep.
introduce yourself.
I'm Darian, and don't worry, we took all of your votes into consideration, all two of them.
Yeah, me with one, Darian with the other. But yeah, basically we're gonna continue with a topic from last episode, which was anime kind of feeling samey. I don't know if we worded it exactly like that, but that's how we're gonna go with it from now on. Darian, you can lead with it because I know you wanted to talk about it.
So, anyways, not to sound like a snob, but I've been watching anime for a long time. My brother's been watching anime for a long time. My sister, my dad, not so much my mom. She doesn't care about that stuff. Um, but because of that, I know what I'm talking about when I say that a lot of anime nowadays is like checking off someone's homework and being like, okay, so you have this, you have that. Yeah, I'm sure the teacher won't notice that we were copying each other. Is essentially how a lot of anime are nowadays. And it's gotten to the point where, as much as I want to love anime, I only like it now. And that's somewhere, and to be fair though, a lot of this issue is mostly seen with the isekai genre for basically taking over the fantasy genre as a whole. Because fantasy is not just going to another world. I find very few shows nowadays that are just straight up another world that characters live in, and that's their regular world. I see that more in shonen, which shonen also has a similar issue, but shonen gets away with it way better because you're always going to need stories teaching kids lessons. Now, when it comes to isekai, the reason why it bothers me is not because I have an issue with isekai. It's that one thing I've learned, a lot of them come from Kadokawa. And thanks to that, I'm like, oh, so these are literally just baby's first novel is now an anime. And to be fair, that might sound like me being mad, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I'm it's funny because I'm looking at an anime list right now and I have it sorted by isekai, and it's just hilarious to me how many of these animes look and sound the exact same. Like, I got a cheat skill from another world and became unrivaled in the real world too. As well as like reminding me of like Isekai Cheat Magician,
Oh
or like
God.
all those other anime where it's like, yeah, I got sent to another world, I got a busted ability, and now I'm broken now. Like, that just seems to be the gist of most of them, and they all share like the same tropes and the same, like, you know, what do you call it, like the storyline. Like, there's not much going on in there too, so
If
it's
you've
just,
seen one, you've seen them all essentially, and that's my issue with them.
yeah, pretty much.
And I know some people that want to be pedantic and shit want to be like, oh, but if you've seen one shonen, you've seen them all. Kid gets powers, kid might not be the best, but they get stronger, and then everybody loves them after X amount of story arcs. And it's like, yeah, if you want to be boring about it and just sum it up that way, then yeah, that's basically just the abridged version of shonen. But at the same time, at least the one thing I'll give shonen is that regardless of if I've seen a power system in that show, the shows themselves don't actually feel similar. Like, you can watch Black Clover and be like, "Oh, that's like Naruto, where the main character nobody believes in him," and I'd be like, "Yeah, sure," but also Asta isn't the same at all like Naruto because Asta's only annoying in the first episode.
Yeah, and the other thing with like isekai, like shonen is one thing where it's like, yeah, sure, they all start with the same premise for the most part, and they all sprinkle their own like little gimmicks and stuff into it to kind of make it their own. But like, for the most part, they're almost carbon copies of each other. Like, even if you look down to the character designs, if you look at the main character for a lot of isekai coming out now, you ever notice how most of them look the exact same? Like you got
Yup.
like high school student, a little bit on the taller side, brown hair. I swear they're actual copies of each other. It's
Some
ridiculous.
I forgot who made the list, but someone actually just took a bunch of A1 Pictures main characters that are all from isekais, or at the very least power fantasies, and just stitched them right next to each other. And I was like,
Yep.
oh my god, they do all have the exact same Kirito face.
That's
Which,
my point. It's like why I don't like I get why they do it because like they're easy sells, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, let's just copy someone's homework, change it a little bit, and throw it on there. People will buy it. People will watch it because it's just one of those types of anime where it has like the largest demographic. There are constantly people that just want to see people do cool things, regardless of whether or not it's actually good or there's any depth to the story or anything worthwhile beyond just, hey, this person's broken. I want to see them do broken things. That is usually how it goes for those types of shows, which I can't really fault people for. It's just it leads to this whole situation where we're in it right now, and you've got like 30 isekais being released like every season, and they're all subpar. I just really want to see an isekai come out again where I was hyped up to watch it, not just yeah, I'll just put this on in the background to pass time.
right, and like that's my biggest issue with that I brought up before about anime and staying power, where I'm like, a lot of these shows they feel so samey that the only way I remember them is when they're bad. I don't remember.
Yeah,
There's
like they're
barely any good
comically
ones.
bad. They're comically bad. They're so bad they go to like the other side of the axis. They're all of a sudden good again just because they're so bad they're entertaining to watch.
Right, like a train wreck is hilarious to watch, but at the same time too, I've noticed that half the train wrecks that I would consider train wrecks aren't even actually train wrecks. They're just boring. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? I was a demon lord, and then I reincarnated as as a nobody. I could barely sit through the first three episodes, and the only reason I remember Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest is just because of the first episode. I don't
Yo.
remember anything else about that show because I could not sit through the rest of it at all.
No, 100%. Even I actually watched Sage as well, which is pretty funny. But no, I agree with you. You only remember like the one interesting moment. I couldn't even tell you the main character of that series, and I think I watched at least half the series. Like I have no
The
idea. I'd have to Google it again. Like I'm
Yeah,
being honest.
Strongest Sage, I don't remember his name. I remember the Demon Lord one because I remember his Demon Lord name.
Yeah.
Friggin' Varvatos. I think his regular name was Ardenova, and I just had to go, how is that a regular nobody? You wanted to be a regular nobody, friggin' Eminence and Shadow did it way better calling somebody Geminus Seinen, which literally means mundane man. It,
Yeah.
it's at that point, it's like, yeah, just be a joke. Just actually go all the way with the joke and be a nobody. But instead, a lot of these things, it's just the hook to make you read it, and then it just goes on to be any old regular power fantasy, and it's boring.
See, I know this anime catches a lot of shit, but Mushoku Tensei, for all this shit that, in the first season that he got for,
Yep.
being a little questionable.
Yeah,
Leave
a
it at,
little, yes.
we'll leave it
Just
at
a wee tad.
we'll leave it as at questionable. But like for everything that that show got, it did it really well. You know what I mean? Like I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like the setting of Mushoku Tensei is amazing. Just how they set up every single episode, how there's no real opening sequence or anything like that. They just show you where the characters are, where they're at right now, and like what areas they're in. Everything just looks so nice. It's just like majestic to look at. It's actually super nice. And from a story point of view, setting that really helps like with the immersion. That world feels like it has so much life, so much going on in the background and stuff like that. It makes you want to see what's happening. It makes you want to have like, more world building and stuff. You want to see all of that. It's really cool. But like, yeah, it had its issues. right? It's fine having its issues when it has something else that is really strong. I'm perfectly okay with that. But like when everything is just freaking milk toast, like 90% of the stuff I'm watching now, it just makes me sad. Like
Yeah, like
Isekai back in the day was a lot more enticing to watch. Like even look at like reverse Isekai, like My Devil is a Part Timer, like the first season. You know what I mean? Like that show was so freaking enjoyable. It was hilarious. It had a lot going for it. The animation was also really good too. Like I
visual
don't know
gags were
why.
amazing in that show. One of my favorite
Yeah.
jokes is friggin' Mao about to deal with Emmy, and he's like, "Oh God, the hero's gonna kill me," and then it just cuts to Ashia like, "Oh," and he looks to his right, and it's the rice cooker starting to boil over, and it's like, "Oh, that's really good." You think it's him noticing that his lord's in danger. No, it's just the rice cooker. And I'm like, stuff like that is great visual gags. It's perfect. Stuff like that's something I would expect from reading a manga and turning a panel. But
Yeah.
like, no, man, they made that work really well in the anime. And that's a light novel. Like it's based off of a light novel where stuff like that is something where you read it. It's
Hmm.
so the fact that could translate as good as it did to me either feels like that was added to the anime or just no, the person writing this story understands how to make a scene flow. And it's it's weird because kind of like what you brought up with Mushoku Tensei, the author of that story legitimately made a new language. Like sure, it may not be as like as much of an explicit language like say Latin or Spanish or something, right? Like it's just for the sake of his fictional world, but to go that far and actually make an alphabet like
Yeah,
purely for the
you
sake of
know
it.
he wasn't just copying someone's homework. He actually he loved that to the point of putting that much passion into it.
Right, and it's a saying I've heard multiple times, and it always works no matter what scenario it's used in. And it's you didn't need to do this, but when someone's passionate, it shows. And you see it with art, you see it with movies, you see it with video games, you see it with shows, you see it with novels, with all these different mediums where you're making something for somebody else. It's like when you have a burger at McDonald's, you can tell who's making your burger based off of how it looks. Was it just slapped together and your McDouble has cheese on top of it? Or did they actually take the time to split the patties and put the cheese in between them like it shows in the damn picture? That you know
Hmm.
the person making your thing actually gives a shit rather than just let me just and that to me is what a lot of anime are like now, and even like a lot of these light novels where it's like any old person thinks they can write. And to be fair, I'm not necessarily trying to insult their writing capability. It's more so that like I understand everybody starts somewhere, but I'm kind of getting tired of seeing the same old thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's
And
literally at the point right now where it's like everything gets animated. Like
yeah.
like all of these different series are getting animated and it just makes you wonder what is the bar now? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the bar is apparently super low because a bunch of these shows get animated, and most people that watch them don't even like them. So I don't understand. Like they get really bad reviews and everything, but they just keep making them. And I'm like, okay, all right, you know.
I think because
Apparently it
part
is
of it
what it
comes from
is.
merch, but it's
Yeah,
like
don't get me wrong. Merch is a big thing. That's actually where they make most of their money. Merch and what was it like Blu-ray sales or
yeah,
whatever?
Blu-rays, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, no, like I get it, but I mean, it's the fact that these companies are essentially taking such a gamble with so many new anime now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Investing that money to get it animated and everything else,
Yeah.
and a lot of them don't do well. It's
There's
just
tons more anime
so
being
many.
made today than when we were younger. In fact, in one season nowadays is about the same amount of anime we would have gotten back in 2002 for that entire year.
And you know, we can segue from this right now with the whole, you know, all these anime kind of feel like they're copying each other's homework into, you know, how all these companies are picking up different manga and different light novels and stuff, animating them. Why don't we have a No Game No Life season two?
Yeah, and okay, so for any viewers listening, hopefully you guys are still listening. I'm sorry, but the one thing that is driving me up the goddamn wall, and it only applies to this week, even though I've actually technically heard about it beforehand, is out of all these shows that are getting season twos and all these new shows that are coming out and stuff that I'm actually looking forward to, why, God, why is In Another World with my smartphone getting a season two and No Game No Life still hasn't gotten one yet? Like, what is this?
No game, no life. I swear to you, it's like one of the biggest upsets next to freaking High School of the Dead. And High School of the Dead is no amazing anime either, but for the time it was hilarious and it was like a pretty good parody anime for what it was doing. It was essentially trying to be a B movie animated. But
Yeah, and like at least
no,
that
like
got a season
Isekai with
two.
my
Oh,
smartphone, man. Got a season two, and we're out here waiting for No Game No Life. We're literally like millions of people that love that series not getting it, but nobody asked for frickin' Isekai smartphone season two. But here it is.
and for any of you that did ask for it, I'm not talking to you,
Shame on
okay?
you. No, no, no. We're talking to them. Shame on you. I
There's
see
nothing
you
wrong
over
with
there.
liking it, but if you genuinely think that this is a better thing to get a season two than No Game No Life, I'm sorry we can't get along.
We are not the same. You are built incorrect. Okay. I'm not saying you can't like it. If you like it, you like it. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. But I mean, if you're gonna disagree that No Game No Life, didn't deserve a season two, then them's fighting words. We're gonna have a problem. Like watch it and then come back and tell me what you thought. Because if you didn't think that it was worth a second watch and disregard everything with Sora and Shiro, I swear I don't want to hear any I don't want to hear anything about that. Disregard anything you think is weird. Okay, they're Japanese. It's a different culture. We're not going to talk about that. Just watch the show and tell me what you think about it.
Exactly. That's the least weird thing in that show. What's way weirder is controlling Steph and making her fall in love against her will. That's way weirder. But we're also
Definitely,
okay with that.
we are okay with that.
Because it's Steph, who cares?
Exactly. Who cares?
but yeah, no, the smartphone thing too. I'm like, when I look at No Game No Life and I look at In Another World on my smartphone, and then I look back to No Game No Life, I go, what is stopping you compared to them? And the obvious answer is it's Madhouse, and they can't count past one. But
Freaking
at the
Madhouse, man. Good old, hey, we're gonna give you the best of the best, but there's a problem. We don't know how to count past one. Anytime we have to make a second season, oh, sorry, I ripped up my homework. I don't know where it is, and I don't know how to do it. I forgot how to do anything. It's like, why? You literally have the formula. Make good anime, people love it. Make good second season, we're not doing it. Why?
they
I
would
don't.
sooner do remakes.
They would rather do remakes or die than make a second season. It makes no sense to me. Like actually, Madhouse just makes bangers, banger after banger, and refuses to continue anything, man. I swear, I don't get it.
I wouldn't even be that mad if the show was more than 12 episodes long. Like, if they gave us like a proper 24, I'd be like, well, I'm sad, but like, hey, at least I got like a good binge session right here. But like, the fact they only did 12 and then the literal last episode is a stinger, and then the movie comes out and it's a prequel, I'm like, you guys will do anything but continue this? Are you
Hey,
kidding me?
don't forget when they tease anime in other anime. You know when they have that No Game No Life season 2 poster in the back of a
I
different
I
anime.
hurt every time I see
Yo,
that in the show.
they do it on purpose. They know what they're doing. They know they hurt us, and it's like some sort of thing for them. They get joy and feel pride from making their fans suffer. I don't get it. Like it's nuts.
Oh.
But then here you got Madhouse out here making just banger after banger. And then because of them, you have poor Studio Mappa out here keeping all of the seasons on their freaking backs.
Yup.
Just carrying years. The past, like, what, 3 years Mappa's had on their freaking shoulders, making every anime known to man.
They've been
And
picking
obviously
up
I say
shows
that as a
from
joke,
other
but
studios and just doing it. It's like, oh, Attack on Titan, we'll take that off your hands, Studio Wit.
yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
In fact, I think they're going to do One Punch Man season 3 as well, which means they took that from Madhouse as well.
Those poor Mappa employees don't have families to go home to, slash, they can't go home to their families. They're under freaking house arrest. The moment they get in that freaking building, they say, sorry, we just picked up 10 more anime. Nobody can go home.
Somebody could die in that studio and they'd still keep working.
Yeah, man, just work over his body. You don't even have time to move the body out the way. Just get on top of him and start working. You
Yeah,
don't
he
have
hasn't
time for
left his
that.
chair yet. Just like scooch it over. You're thin enough. You haven't eaten in 3 days.
I'm like, bro, Mappa out here. I love Mappa to death. It just Mappa and Madhouse side by side is just two different kinds of upsetting.
It
Mappa out
really
here
is.
doing it all for little recognition. Studio Madhouse out here, all the recognition in the world, still don't give a damn.
Mappa is the single mother that has to work 3 jobs in order to bring home food for her kids.
Yeah, and she feeds all her goddamn children. Madhouse is making 6 figures, doesn't have to go to work another day in their life, and they look at their frickin' child like, you disgust me. How dare you ask me to help you do anything? It's like, listen, you're gonna eat this one turkey sandwich a week and you're gonna like it. You're not getting any more than that. I don't get it. You have the capabilities to give us what we want, and that's literally your job, and you say, nah, I don't feel like it.
I don't feel like it, you know?
Jesus.
We make 2 shows a season, and that's fine. It makes our workforce happy
Right? Must be nice.
to be able to afford to do that.
Yeah, must be nice. God damn it, Madhouse. Every time I think about Madhouse, I get annoyed inside.
Right? It's because Madhouse has been there just like Bones, just like Gynax. Well, before Gynax died, but like they've been there since we were kids, alongside
Yup.
Toei and Piero. And it's like, yo, man, these guys were our goddamn childhood, and Piero's still going on strong. Toei hasn't taken a break in years. Bones is out here killing it every single time they make a show, and then there's Madhouse out here like, yo, listen. I understand that just like Studio Sunrise, we're expected to do things, but we're just not going to do things.
You know, Madhouse has like that mentality of like a supervillain. where
Yeah.
where they're like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna do something that's gonna get us put in the record books." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Madhouse couldn't just accept making really good quality anime. They couldn't
Mhm.
accept that. That's not good enough because they're like, "Hey, listen, there are other studios that do that." You know what I mean? We got
Mhm.
Bones, we got Trigger, we got Gynax before Gynax got Gynaxed,
Yep.
and you know what I mean? Like, what was the one that made Demon Slayer again? Ufotable,
Ufotable.
right? You have all of them. They're like, no, we all make good anime. They want to stand out amongst the rest. So they took the freaking super villain route where they were like, okay, okay, we're gonna make something. Everyone's gonna love it. And we're gonna leave it on a freaking cliffhanger where everyone's gonna be waiting for a season 2. And then we're just gonna not.
And then not only are
That's
we
it.
gonna not, we're gonna keep baiting it in the other shows that come out afterwards.
And then we're gonna do it multiple times. Now look, right? We laugh, but look at where Madhouse is right now. They
Yep.
make bangers, and everyone expects them to just disappear afterwards. Everyone expects this now. No one expects a season 2 from freaking Madhouse
Yep.
anymore, right? They're notorious. So, I'm just saying that's some supervillain methodology right there. You know, do some crazy shit to get remembered. That's all they did. And
And,
you know what? They completed it.
and you know what's
Bastards.
worse too? What's worse too about all that is that Overlord's getting a season 4, or I should say it has gotten its season 4. And that's the
Hmm.
same studio.
Yep.
And I'm over here just like, yo, I look at the shows that they make and then which shows that you like. And I go, the fact that there's so much overlap kills me because there's No Game, No Life that we both like. There's High School of the Dead that we both like. The only reason I'm okay with that not getting a season 2 is specifically because the creator's dead. So,
Yeah.
like, if they did make a season 2, it would still end on a cliffhanger, regardless.
Yep.
But then like there's Mahoka, which I know when it got its season 2, a different studio did it. There's Black Lagoon, which is fine. There's both Hellsings, which if you think about it, they're not season 2s. Literally, one is one continuity, and
Yo,
then Ultimate is just
Helsing and then Helsing Ultimate.
right. There's Batum that you like.
Yeah, we don't talk about Batum. I will say I like Batum, but it's for
Yeah.
very shallow reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
The premise was interesting. They essentially had assault Bakugan, but when you think about the first like couple episodes, there was a lot of sus things happening. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
They tried to Goblin Slayer the first few episodes, and if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. If you don't, I'm sorry. What stole the anime to me was strictly the opening. Hands down, one of the best openings ever, and I will fight anybody that says otherwise. If you don't watch the show, that's fine. Just go on YouTube and look at Batum's opening. Nano is amazing.
Yep. But yeah, so not even to like cut that off, but like I'm looking at all the shows that they make, and I'm like, barely any of these have season 2s. And the worst part is, it's a trend because if you go to anything before 2012, I would say most of their shows have on average 24 to 50 episodes, like Claymore and Monster, which are both
Yeah.
really good shows. But then when you look to shows after that, like No Game, No Life, and Batum, that only have like 13, any of the shit that they make after that, if it's not Overlord, only has one season. And
Yo,
a lot of them are short. So it just kind of makes me go like, yo, there's a pattern here where after a certain point, they just kind of stopped. It was like,
yeah.
Ash, we'll just follow the trend and do shit like this. It's like, yeah, they do movies, yeah, they do some OVAs, blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, no, they make one season and they're good. That's it.
Yo, that's what they are, man. Freaking one and done over there.
Like, god damn. Oh, hey, Danelle, they also did Chobits and Tenjo Tenge. That's so freaking random.
Yeah, man. And Tenjo Tenge, wasn't that another one that didn't get finished?
No!
Did it?
No, of course it didn't.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. See, exactly. It's amazing.
God damn it. But they'll definitely do remakes. Oh, or no, not even remake. Because even though they did Trigun, the remake's being done by Studio Orange. And
Yeah, and it's
then,
also like a CG thing as well. Like
right?
it's not 2D animated like normal.
Yeah, I'm just out here like god damn it. They will just refuse at this point.
All right.
But yeah, we should move on to
Okay.
the next one now.
Yeah, so as a little what do you call it? Little introduction into our lives so you guys can hopefully relate to us a little bit more. Our third topic is going to be what is the worst thing you did as a kid? Like something you did that was just terrible or got you in a bunch of trouble or, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just interesting story. Darian, you want to go in first or
Yeah,
you
I'll
want
go
me to go?
first because I kind of have two. The first one's not as bad because it's specifically involving Danelle. Uh, yeah, people, there's one thing you should know about me that is disgusting, and it's only saying it because I find it hilarious, is the fact that my farts growing up were terrible.
Oh no.
And so, on one really long drive to Wonderland, everyone was in the car. And by everyone, I mean me, my brother, my dad, my sister, and I think, was Philip in the car with us?
I don't know if he was with us at the time.
Yeah, because this was like dad's car, so there wasn't that much space in the first place. But like, we were driving for a while, and this is summer. Okay, my brother and my sister, they only come over for summers back when I was younger, and I decided, hey, listen, I'm just gonna be a dick right now and just let it rip in the car. And it's like, does somebody, oh, Darian? And I'm just like, yeah. And his dad's like, somebody open the window. And then, like, I would deliberately not open my window. So when Deanna opened her window, that shit just went straight past her. And she had to take all of it.
Oh my god. You're gonna all right. That reminds me. You're gonna do the Grudge story?
Oh God, that's
Yeah, that
okay.
one I think was worse because not only were we scared for our lives, we quite literally were scared for our lives again, but for other reasons.
That one, okay. That one I wouldn't even actually say was my fault because Deanna, the one that actually made that one way worse. But essentially, that story it goes like this: we're at our house back when we used to have it, and pretty much my older sister and was like, "Hey, I want to watch a horror movie," and our dad was like, "All right," and so he gives us The Grudge, right? And my brother and me hate horror. So my brother's like, yeah, I'm just not gonna watch this, and spent most of that time, and by most of it I mean the entire time, playing Trolls on his laptop. So when the movie's over and it's time for bed, Deanna realized, oh shit, I have to go to sleep now. And she can't do that because she just watched a horror movie. So we're getting ready to go to bed, and Danelle is sleeping in my room, and it's like, Deanna, what are you doing at the door? She's like, I can't sleep in there by myself. And me at the time was like, nah, girls can't sleep in the same bed as us. I was a kid. I don't think that way now anymore. And pretty much it got to the point where Danelle was like, hey, you know what, screw this. I'm just gonna go sleep in your room. You guys are gonna take forever. I'm getting tired. And before he even left the room, she's like, by the way, I thought I saw The Grudge in my closet. And Danelle just did a 180 and immediately jumped back into bed. Didn't even acknowledge the fact that he was about to leave. And
Nope.
the entire time that this has been going on, I've been sitting in the bed and I've been farting under the car.
Oh,
Under the blanket.
hey
So
yo. Hey, when I say that was like setting off a landmine. I went from completely unaware to gasping and fighting for my life because I literally, as he said, like I turned back around, went straight back into that bed and immediately threw the covers over my head. That was the worst possible decision I could have ever made because at that point you lose all strength in your arms. You can't breathe. You're gasping for air. There's no oxygen reaching your muscles. You're fighting yourself trying to get out of these covers. And it was those big ass comforters too. And then after all this, I don't remember if Deanna was also on the bed or what, but like long story short, Darian had taken the covers and scooped it like over everyone and was holding those covers down. So now we're sitting there literally just this man turned under that blanket into Auschwitz. You couldn't breathe. You were just
God.
dying, eyes burning. Everything is awful.
You guys must also remember this is summer, so it's already hot as shit, and I don't open my windows, so like there's just hot air just circulating in that room, and I sleep with covers. I don't sleep with blankets. The shit I sleep with is thick, so that shit is just holding on to everything. So Danelle got under there the first time. This man could barely lift the shit off of him, so it didn't help at all.
It was bad. Oh man. Stepping into a gas chamber. And then of course there's me where it's like after that, I'm like, nope. I get out the bed and I'm like, I will take on The Grudge. I don't care. I need to breathe. It's not happening. You go drag me down to the depths of nowhere. All right. At least I'm gonna go out swinging.
The other reason why all of what I was talking about before was terrible is because Danelle has asthma. So unlike me, where it's just, oh man, that's gross, for him it's like life and death.
Yeah, being suffocated hot ass air underneath, literal hot ass air underneath these blankets, trying not to die. Oh
Oh
god.
god.
All right. I'll lead in now with one of my stories because I have a few, but I'll mention just this one because it's in similar to yours.
Hmm.
As in it involved farts. So I was a kid, uh, very dumb, mind you. I had just watched a movie. I don't remember what movie it was, but it gave me a very stupid idea of saving farts in a jar. I didn't have a jar at the time, so I don't know if you guys know what those big ass energy drink cans look like, the big metal ones with like the freaking the aluminum cap on top. Like it had a rubber seal and everything. That's as
Thermoses.
air. It wasn't a thermos, but like it might as well have been. It was just for energy drinks specifically.
Okay.
It's like the huge 1 liter can or something. But yeah, long story short, I had one of those and I was like, all right, let's try this. So I fart into the can and then open it up a while later. I'm like, damn, that actually works. Jesus. And I don't know why, this is what I say, like I preface, like kids are dumb, okay? Like, we're stupid. I didn't know why. I should have noticed that this was a dumb thing to do after opening it up the first time and realizing it still smelt. Okay, like this is a bad decision. So what I started doing is every time I was in my bedroom and I had to fart, I would fart into that can. That same can. I don't know how long I had that thing, but it was getting bad. Okay, it was getting bad. And at the time, my mom used to always complain about me not cleaning my room to like the standard that she had. 'Cause my mom was a huge clean freak. Even though my room was cleaned, I had stuff on my night tables beside my bed. Well, one day she comes in to clean up beside my bed and she sees a can there and she's like, Donnell, leaving cans beside his bed. He's got to throw these out. And my mom, being my mom, was like, let me check if there's something in here first. He opens this can and just immediately starts to vomit all over my bed and everything. And then I remember coming home to a scream, Donnell, on the top of her lungs as she's just throwing up on my bed. I knew. I didn't see her because, mind you, I was in my bedroom was in the basement at the time. I didn't see her, but I knew at that moment she had opened that can. And I was like, oh no. I was in so much trouble. I couldn't even explain to my mom what the hell was in there. I couldn't tell her I farted into that can for the past like month. What the hell? That make me look like a psychopath, or in this case, a dumb kid, right? But no, like thinking back to that, I'm like, yo, I was so freaking stupid. I would never in my life do that now because I'm like a germaphobe now. But like just my mom immediately opens up that can and just vomit everywhere, all over my bed, my night table. It was disgusting. I don't even remember if there was other stuff in there. Like, if I'm being honest, I was probably stupid. I probably threw like some chopped garlic and some onions in there or something to make it extra bad. But like, it was terrible. Enough for imagine how much it takes for a nurse, because my mom's a registered nurse, for a nurse to open up something and immediately start to vomit. You know how bad that has to be?
Oh
That's
yeah.
disgusting. I'm
That had to have
disgusted
been
with
like
myself.
friggin' arthropod, friggin' things that scourge along the ocean floor, eating all the dead bodies and stuff, and then pushing out its guts.
Yeah, like I was disappointed with myself. That was bad. I was like, God damn it, Donnell, why you gotta be disgusting? What the hell is wrong with you? And I think
No,
that's when my germaphobeness started to kick in because I scared myself straight.
I'll be honest, that's just hilarious for me personally because I just immediately think like, oh man, you just laid a pipe bomb for whoever opened up that thing. I'm like,
Honestly,
oh
I
god.
think I was saving it for my sister. Not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah.
I think I was saving it for her. I think I was just waiting. One good moment pissed me off. I'm gonna unlock this right next to your bed while you sleep.
Just roll it under the door.
I honestly, I'm pretty sure that's what was going through my head. Like, save this for a rainy day. Just pop the cap, throw in frickin' Sparkin' CPT.
And it only gets
Granata.
worse too, is the worst part. You just keep stocking it up.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. Like, I think about the times where I had to hold my breath when opening it up to fart in it again. I'd literally sit there and be like, and then unlock it and then fart and then lock it back up. I had it down to a science. I could do that thing within like 2 seconds.
Oh god.
Terrible.
Out here just like
Imagine how
doing
gross that
chemistry.
would have been. That would have been disgusting. All the freaking E. coli particles probably in that shit.
Oh
My
god.
God.
And
Yeah, I want to think about that.
yeah,
Ooh.
what's funny too is like when it came to your mom, when you're like, "Oh man, what's it got to take for her to throw up?" I think about myself and I go, "Smells don't make me throw up. Overstuffing myself makes me throw up." So if I smelt that and it made me throw up, that would actually be the worst thing imaginable.
No, see, that's my thing. My mom, she's on like some heavy medications that make her nauseous.
Hmm.
So she throws up quite often, right? But none of which are from anything being induced, like as far as like something she's seen or something she's smelt or something like that. It's a physical reaction to the medication. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
She works as a nurse. She's never thrown up while helping clients or patients, right? Even though
yeah,
they see some gross things, right? But
yeah.
no, that was a first for her, smelling something to the point of vomiting.
Kids are
So
geniuses and idiots all at the same
that
time.
was literal like biological warfare.
Oh yeah,
Okay? Like that was like man-made mustard gas.
that's straight up illegal under the Geneva Convention. Okay,
Yeah.
so my next story is less so, I would say, gross and just kind of rude because teenagers are rude. So that first story I made was when I was a kid. I'd say about 8. This next story is going to be when I was about 16, and pretty much it's the one time I've ever actually gotten in trouble with a teacher. This was during my drama class in grade 10, because obviously it's around that time they start to teach you about credits. They're not as important as college credits, I'll tell you that much. um and pretty much when they say you should never call a woman fat, they mean it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So me in drama class, right, everyone is like, okay, we're having our roles picked out for an assignment, forgot what it was, but essentially we were in groups, and my group had about 5 people, and one of the girls in it was going to be picked to play a certain role, and my dumbass said, well, why isn't she the pregnant woman? And obviously
Ooh,
you don't say that out loud.
you do not do that. That specifically.
And like, okay, for the record, if I do start to laugh, this is me laughing at myself being an idiot, not me laughing at her right now. If I'm trying to mention what I did back then, I wasn't laughing when I said it back then. It was literally just me being a dumbass and saying words that you got to think twice about before you say. And pretty much it was just like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, what? I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to have so and so be the this person and then have so and so be this person? And it's my own head not realizing what I'm insinuating, just words are coming out because they make sense in my head. And pretty much she started to cry, and then I'm just over here like, wait, what happened? And it's like, god damn it, Darian, you couldn't just think about that longer. But no, obviously I didn't. And then teacher gets involved, and the teacher's like, hey Darian, hey, come over here for a second. And I'm like, all right, I know what this is about. And she's like, hey, okay, so what'd you say about so and so? And I'm just like, I mean, I just said this, and I repeat what I said before. And she's like, Darian. And I'm like, yeah, everyone's saying you shouldn't have said that. And it's just like, okay, Darren, you don't really get in trouble for stuff normally. So I know this isn't necessarily you being rude, but that is a rude thing that you said. So I want you to apologize. And obviously I did apologize, but even still, I know myself. I know in that moment the apology is because the teacher is telling me to apologize, not because I actually feel bad about what I just said, because I don't get what I just said. It wasn't until way later, like in the day, like obviously I still realized it the same day, where I was finally just like, ah, shit, I did it again. And when you're just like, oh, what do you mean you did it again? When I was a 3-year old, I was on the bus with my mom and I did the exact same thing where I saw a fat girl and I said, oh, mom, is that we should get up our seat? And she's like, why? I said, it's because that lady's pregnant. And it's like, oh, oh, Darren, stop. But it's like it's in my head, and I just pulled that again somehow, and obviously, it's like it's not as cute as when a 3-year-old says it, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, I got a problem with this stuff, and it's obviously something I know better now, right? I'm not gonna pull something like that ever again. I know how this new climate of the world works, but also just the way common decency works. And I also think about the words before they come out of my mouth a lot more nowadays when I talk to people. Not so much right now, because to be fair, there was no real reason I had to tell any of you this, but I am because I'm over it.
Yeah, no, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, no, that's bad. That's bad. But like I can see this. A lot of people don't know, but Darian is pretty much one of those people where he's like he speaks his mind and sometimes it's to a detriment. And it's not because he's trying to be rude or mean or anything like that. It's just that's the way he thinks. And when he thinks there's no problem with it, sometimes there is. Like in that case, he saw a fat chick. I don't want to call her a fat chick, but like in that I'm using the terms, right?
Yeah.
Saw a fat chick and then went, hey, no, she should play the pregnant chick. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? He's not trying to insult her, but unfortunately, that is what it is. Because the way Darian is like, it's like I'm gonna call a spade a spade. It
Yeah.
would make more sense for her to be the pregnant chick. Of course, that's not very tactful. So like, not the best way
Yeah.
to go about it. But you're pretty much a dead man walking the moment it came out your mouth. There's no salvaging that.
No salvaging it. So it already came out. People heard you. It's like I'm in a group with like 4 others. So like even if she didn't hear it, one of them heard it.
Yeah, so it's like yeah, for Darian, it's like if he sees someone, right? If Darian's fat, he expects people to call him fat. He doesn't care because he's like, yeah, I know what I am,
Mhm.
right? Same
I was
way
a
if
chunky
he was
kid growing up.
exactly like he's skinny now, but he was chunky when he was a kid too. So it's one of those things where it's like he said it coming from his point, where it's like he sees no problem with being called that, but obviously someone else, if they're insecure about it, then you don't want to go about that. So for Darian, he's like, yeah, I call a fat chick, but I'll still call a guy a fat dude, right?
Yep.
Like it is what it is. But now obviously he's older and he knows, okay, listen, tact is a thing. Let's not do that to people, especially when I don't
Yeah.
know them. In our group, we call each other fat and whatnot all the time. My nickname in my group is actually Fat Boy.
Yep.
So I don't want people to think I'm out here being disrespectful or whatever, calling people fat chicks and this, that, and the other thing. I don't mean any of it. I'm just saying it because it's a word. We don't physically know these people. I'm not naming any names and whatnot. But my nickname is Fat Boy, or they call me Fat Boy, Fat One, or something along those lines in my group because I
And
was like overweight at one point, right? I'm not anymore. I exercise and I eat pretty healthy, so I'm not anymore. But it was a thing, and I never fought that back. You know what I mean? Because it's just one of those things. It's either you're okay with it or you're not.
yeah, so if any of you hear Ryan come in and call him Fat Boy, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I actually that leads me to another story. This reminds me of when I was in college And at the time, I didn't realize how much weight I had gained. I knew I was getting bigger, but I didn't think I was that much bigger. Anybody that knows me from like first year college and sooner, like when I was in high school or whatever, I was what you'd call like a meathead. I literally eat, sleep, just dream working out. All I did was work out. I worked out like 3 hours a day. And then when I was done, I was on the basketball team. I also played football and a few other things. So I was just constantly active. So throughout my high school years, I was just shredded. Okay. Like I was like 5.5% body fat for most of high school and everything else. And so for me, going from being really active to like being in college in my second year where it was super heavy. I was at school where I had to be on the bus at 6:30 until 6 p.m. for the most part, and I was just at school all day. I did nothing but eat, study, and sleep. I didn't go to the gym really anymore. So all this weight was just compiling and compiling and compiling, and I was not paying attention to it at all. Well, one day I had a friend of mine from high school see me in college in the hallway, and she ran up to me to give me a hug. And the first thing she said when she looked up at me was, "My God, you've gotten fat." And I died inside. Just imagine, like someone seeing you after like 2 years, and they run to you and then pause in front of you and go, "My God," this is her exact words. "My God, you've gotten fat." Bro, that hurt. I looked at myself a different way after that. I was like, "Holy shit." Nah, she's right. 100%. I'm like, "I've gotten fat." Like, what the hell? So after that, I cut the frickin' pizza. That's the first thing. Pizza with barbecue sauce all day. Cut that out. Started eating healthier. Started playing basketball again. Started exercising. And I shed like 50 pounds. But in that moment, oh, I was fat. 110%. I would not take that back.
Yeah, and even for me as a kid, I wasn't necessarily fat. I was definitely chunky. I had cheeks, I had arms, I had fat boy legs. It was just like my stomach area that wasn't really fat. But like when I was losing that weight, I cheated because unlike most people, obviously, like I said, I'm skinny now, but unlike most people that work out, nah, the thing that made me skinny was two things: puberty and starving myself. And you might go like, "Oh, what do you mean starving yourself?" And it's like, listen, I didn't starve myself in the regular mean. It's not like a girl trying to diet by not eating breakfast and dinner because she's trying to get slim. No, this was deliberately like, I am a picky eater. So my dad would make food, I'd be like, "I don't want that food," and he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do? Eat nothing?" And I went, "I guess I'm eating nothing." And that
This
was
man,
that.
this this man was the definition of went to bed for dinner.
Yeah. Just took a couple months of that plus summer shedding off some of that weight from the heat, and it was like, damn, people saw me afterwards, especially my grandma, and we all know how grandmas are, saw me, it's like, "Oh man, oh, you need to eat some more." And then anybody that knew me as a child, like my uncle who loved calling me fat, was like, "Yo, Bells, your dad not feeding you or something? What's going on?" And then my dad's boss said the exact same thing. I thought they were listening to each other's calls or something, but it's like, nah, that's just how people saw me.
It's just
That's how
like
much weight I
you stop
lost.
feeding your sons or what?
And it's like, oh no, it's just he doesn't want to eat the food I make. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to eat the food he makes.
All right. Well, we're rambling and we're almost hitting the 1 hour mark, so we'll wrap things up here. It's been a nice episode 2 of the Annie Bros podcast. We should be up on Spotify and a few other podcast websites pretty soon. I'm still trying to figure out logos and a few other things, but for anyone listening, it's been nice. And if you guys have any requests or comments, leave us a review. Would be really nice.
And if there's anything you want us to talk about, give us some of your ideas there too, because there might be things that we never even thought of because of that. I've got at least a couple more ideas that I've got written down somewhere. I have to cross off these ones.
But yeah, it's been nice. See you guys in the next one.